what's different about Android Pay? How do customers benefit?
Well, Android Pay is going to provide an experience that makes it very easy to do in-app purchases and also terminal purchases. So this builds on what we've seen from other ecosystem players who want to make it simple and easy to pay and interact with their devices.
Now, one of the problems with Android devices is that people browse, don't buy, and that's something that Google is trying to change. How does the way people shop on Android phones differ from the way people shop on iPhones?
Well, I think Apple had come out with Apple Pay as a medium to make it simple and easy and faster to pay with on native apps on their devices. And so now Google is looking for a similar experience to make it just as easy on their platform and make it so that commerce can be more streamlined on those platforms. Mobile as a whole is a place where merchants and consumers are both looking for new ways to connect more easily. While there is so much browsing activity, as you said, on these mobile devices, there's far less purchasing activity because it's generally just been more difficult to do that. But with Apple Pay in the mix and Android Pay and products from players like us at PayPal as well with our One Touch product, we're all trying to simplify that system and make it so that merchants can benefit by having more streamlined ways to offer their products.
Now, Juan, I want to bring in our editor-at-large, Cory Johnson, who's been at Google I/O all day long. Cory, it seems like a lot of the things that Google announced today are playing catch-up to Apple. Android Pay, for example, some of these voice recognition features,
Yep.
HBO. What's your take on that?
Well, I think you're absolutely right, but I think the way that Google does these things is very different also. I mean, really, nothing was announced here today. I mean, a new operating system that everyone knew was coming, that they've given away most of the features of in advance. A photo app. I mean, a new version of Wallet and this pay thing that's similar to what Wallet was. So, but that's Google's style. Google works with a series of producers of their handsets. They work with many manufacturers of things. Apple works with one manufacturer of thing. It's Apple. So really, it's a very different kind of ecosystem that they're trying to support. So the nature of an event like this, while it's a place where developers want to come to find out the very latest, the exciting, look, I just went into a session in there where developers were learning about when to have a notification button and how you should program such a button. That's a very different thing than announcing a new iPhone. But that's where Google is, and that's the kind of thing that they're trying to get done. And so maybe giant product announcements just aren't their thing.
Talking about this one-click pay purchase, Juan, it's something that Amazon has been doing for a very long time. Do we know that it actually increases the frequency by which people buy?
Yeah, it does. And actually, we've been doing one-click purchases on the Braintree platform for mobile apps for a long time as well, powering that for the likes of Uber and Hotel Tonight and others. And it's much easier to have stored payment credentials that consumers don't have to enter every time they purchase, so that they can do that one-click purchase every time when you're booking that Uber ride or that Hotel Tonight stay.
Now, Cory, I want to hear more about this cardboard virtual reality device. Of course, you and I have tried Oculus. Is this thing the real deal?
Yeah. So, virtual reality is a really cool word. This thing is really cool. Dodo Case has had this thing out for a while, where you can take your iPhone, slap it in, and there are certain videos or things that Google slap it in these eyepiece, and you can see things kind of virtually and look around and have a different experience. Very clever stuff. This thing's a little bit better. It's similar to Oculus. It's not completely immersive, but similarly, you could look at something that's in front of you, turn to your right, see something different to your right, turn to your left, see something different to your left, and then come up with new ways to capture that. But it's a fascinating step in the direction of trying to figure out what to do with these new capabilities of chips that can calculate the movement on a device, widely available devices, and cheap cameras to shoot the things. But it's just a step in that direction. I think we're going to see things along those lines, but there's a use case that still is greatly lacking there. But it's interesting and cool stuff nonetheless.
Now, Cory, no surprise skydiving events, no surprise Q&A from Larry Page, as there has been in the past. It's been about 8 months now since he passed over a lot of the control to Sundar Pichai, who led a lot of today's presentations. Right. What's your take on how well Sundar is stewarding Google at this point?
It is possible that the all-time highlight of Google I/Os will be the time that Sergey parachuted in. I mean, all we've got now is Sebastian Thrun jetting around on a skateboard. I don't know if you saw that with him jetting around behind me. But yeah, look, the ceremony of these events, we've gotten to a point now where every CEO of a major corporation feels like they've got to be Steve Jobs. They've got to take off their necktie. They've got to give an inspirational speech in front of a fevered crowd of employees and some users, and that's how products should be announced. That wasn't always the way with product announcements, and it probably won't always be the way in the future. But I think that the adoption of this mobile technology and the ubiquity of Android is one of the reasons why this event is important for developers, if not everyone else.